Live from the Gold and Blue Dude studio. Yes, it's not going to be Mark Rogers hosting tonight. I am going to be your humble host. We're going to try to get you through this and hopefully be entertaining while we do this as well. West Virginia right now, the best way I can describe it is a car wreck. You don't want to look. It's something you don't want to see, but you can't help but just take a peek. Just a glance. That's what West Virginia is right now. We are a car wreck, a train wreck, whatever you want to call it. But, people want to see what's going to happen at West Virginia because it's so bad right now. So bad. So bad. Really, really bad. And as you can see already in the comments section, depending on what channel you're watching this from, by the way, we are triple casting, not just simulcasting. We are triple casting from Gold and Blue Dude, the voice of college football, and the voice of college football, West Virginia. Now, I encourage you, if you're watching me from Gold and Blue Dude or the voice of college football, go subscribe to the voice of college football, West Virginia. Mark Rogers has a ton of these channels, and this channel also needs to get to 1,000 subscribers. That way, YouTube, starts promoting it more. That's the big thing. Whenever you start these sub channels under Mark Rogers, we have to get them to 1,000 subscribers. Even if you're not a West Virginia fan, even if you won't watch one single video over there, that's fine. That's okay. And once we do hit 1,000 subscribers over there, you can unsubscribe. It's just all about getting us to 1,000. Just get us there. That's all we're asking. Just get us there. So if you're not subscribed over there to the voice of college football, the West Virginia channel, just go over there, quick subscribe, and boom, you're done. It's taken care of. And we greatly appreciate that. How is everybody doing this evening? I'm doing pretty good. Now, I'm not going to lie, I did a lot of driving all over the upstate of South Carolina today, but that's okay. I'm good. Actually, driving, I'm a pretty good driver, and I don't mind driving. In fact, some of my jobs have been driving. I don't know if people know this or not, but I used to have my CDLs, and I drove for Pepsi and RC and 84 Lumber. I drove for all three of those companies. So I'm okay. I'm okay with driving, but man, it is tiring when you've driven for 7 to 8 hours in one day. It is tiring. But I'm here. Let's do this. West Virginia somehow beat Oklahoma last week, right? So JT Daniels comes out, struggles again. He's not looking great recently. But Neil Brown makes a good decision and benches him and brings in Garrett Green. I was kind of surprised because Neil Brown hasn't been high on Garrett Green. Not at all. So whenever he benched JT Daniels, I was honestly expecting to see Nico Markle. So whenever he tried to Garrett Green out there, I was like, okay, has Neil Brown given up? Is this what this is a sign of? Has he given up? No, he hasn't. Garrett Green actually led West Virginia to their first win. Numero uno, first win over the Sooners of Oklahoma. And my mindset before the game was like, I was hearing rumors before the game that if West Virginia lost to Oklahoma, that Neil Brown was going to be fired. So here was my mindset before this game, all right? A win would be good, I guess, but we're still not going to get to a bowl. Oklahoma's not that good. And if we lose, we fire Neil Brown. So maybe a loss isn't that bad. Maybe a win isn't that important. And I live streamed the game, and we won. And I was like, I take that back. That win felt really, really good. I take everything I said about, maybe it's not going to feel good. Blah, blah. No, it felt great. I'm happy that West Virginia won. But can we follow it up with another upset over Kansas State? Number 15 in the nation, Kansas State. Personally, I think Kansas State is a little overranked. I have them in the 20s. Still ranked team, still a good football team. Still would be an upset. Can West Virginia do it again? Pull another upset? Well, Neil Brown's going to have to do what he did last week and get out of his tendencies. And here's what I would do. I think Garrett Green has earned the starting position. All right. So at least start him. Just start him. If he starts messing up like JT Daniels did last week, then you bench him and bring in, I guess, JT Daniels or Nico or whoever you want to. But Garrett Green has earned the right to start this week against Kansas State. We do not win against Oklahoma if he doesn't bench JT Daniels and bring in Garrett Green. And I'm not saying that Garrett Green is a better quarterback than JT Daniels. Nuh-uh. JT Daniels is the better quarterback. What is the problem with JT Daniels? Everybody's asking that. It's pretty simple, guys. If you watch JT Daniels in the Backyard Brawl, the first game of the year, and then you watch JT Daniels in the past few games, including his start at Oklahoma, this season has worn him down mentally. His receivers drop the ball half the time. They can't get open. The defense, our defense is terrible. This is one of the worst defenses I've ever seen, and that's including Dana Holgorsen defenses. So what I'm thinking is this season has just worn on him. He's starting to force things. He's trying to take the game over. He's not mobile. So whenever the offensive line starts to collapse, sack, force, interception. And he's not looking like the JT Daniels that we saw at the beginning of the season. I still think that JT Daniels is a good quarterback. I just don't think West Virginia is a good fit for him. I think if he transferred out and went somewhere that could use him properly, he would have success. He didn't come to West Virginia and all of a sudden he started sucking. No. It's just we weren't the right fit for JT Daniels. And I feel bad for the guy. I am not talking bad about him. I wish him nothing but the best. If I were JT Daniels, if I were in his shoes, I would transfer. I really would. I would transfer because this has not been a pleasant experience. And JT Daniels does not like to lose. We don't have receivers that can get open for whatever reason. Our guys cannot create separation. So he's starting to force things. And the one playbook, the one play that needs to be ripped out of the playbook is that wide receiver screen. I hate that thing. It never does us any good. Our receivers can't hold the blocks. Usually it's called whenever the defense can see it coming. So there's 4 guys to our 2 receivers. Not a chance to gain a yard even. Whenever the opposing team runs it, of course, they can get 6 to 10 yards every time they run it. But whenever we run it, not so much. Not so much. This is not good. So, yes, bench JT Daniels, start Garrett Green, and then if Garrett Green starts messing up, then you can bench him. I don't understand the mindset of Neil Brown. For Neil Brown, it's try something until it doesn't work. And even if it doesn't work, you keep trying it, or you try it again the next. I don't even know if I explained that correctly. That's how confused I am with it because, 3 years we went without an offensive coordinator. Either he caught it or it was a poor man's version of an offensive coordinator. We finally get a halfway decent offensive coordinator. And yes, our offense is better this year. It is. But it doesn't complement JT Daniels, and our defense has been sliding ever since Jordan Leslie took over the defense. So that was a bad promotion right there. So West Virginia has some decisions to be made. Seriously, guys. West Virginia has Neil Brown has some decisions to be made. And some people think that tomorrow could be the last game that Neil Brown coaches for West Virginia if indeed we do lose to Kansas State. I'm sorry, guys. That's not what I'm hearing. I know. Firing Shane Lyons seemed like it was a sign that finally we were ready to move on from Neil Brown, because I thought the only reason why Neil Brown was still here was because of Shane Lyons. So we fired Shane Lyons. So I was like, yeah, we're going to get rid of Neil Brown. That's not what I'm hearing. In fact, I'm hearing the reason why they fired Shane Lyons is because he wasn't using the budget for football properly. He was using it for other things. I heard that he wanted to build a new press box with his name on it. Yeah. And it's all starting to make sense. So from what I'm hearing, Neil Brown actually didn't have the money to get the proper offensive coordinator until it was just, do it or, you could be fired, Shane Lyons. And it happened anyways. So he finally gave him the budget this year, and we got an offensive coordinator. And West Virginia has a decent offense. Now we need to do the same thing with the defensive coordinator. And I actually made a video earlier When was it? No, it wasn't today. It was yesterday. No, it was the day before, 2 days ago. Excuse me, guys. 2 days ago, talking about firing Shane Lyons might be a sign of big things to come at West Virginia. And I'm not just talking about firing Neil Brown. I'm talking about actually putting money into the football program, because if you think about the history of West Virginia football, it doesn't make sense. We are a top 25 football program as far as winning percentage and total wins. I think we've slipped in winning percentage because of our recent years, but we're still top 30 in that category. But how are we not able to pay our coach more than what we pay them? And the reason why Rich Rod left West Virginia is because he wanted a raise for himself, yes, and his assistants. And West Virginia said no. Rich Rod bolted and went to Michigan. And I don't like how Rich Rod left, but I understand the reason Rich Rod left. And after doing some research and thinking about it, honestly, I think Rich Rod knew that West Virginia had the money to give him a raise. That's why he asked. Why would he ask for a raise if he knew that West Virginia didn't have the money? Same thing with Dana Holgorsen. The reason Dana Holgorsen asked for a raise at West Virginia, he also knew that West Virginia had the money. Otherwise, he wouldn't have asked. Both times, West Virginia turned them down, which I'm okay with Dana Holgorsen. I didn't think he was a good head coach. Houston is finding that out. So I'm okay with that. But Rich Rod, we should have paid the raise and kept Rich Rod up. He was having tremendous success. When he moved on, he had some success at Arizona. Not so much at Ole Miss. Definitely not at Michigan. Jacksonville State, he's having some success over there. If he had stayed at West Virginia and still be the head coach right now, West Virginia, we'd have a completely different tone as far as our football program goes. So the bottom line is West Virginia needs to learn how to spend money on the football program. We have the boosters. We have the donors. We have the fan base that supports it like crazy. But it seems like the haves are trying to keep it away from the have-nots. And they don't want to get in a coaching staff that can actually get us somewhere. And then whenever they do hire a coaching staff, and I do think Neil Brown was a good hire at the time. Remember, he was at the top of the list of the group of five. His success at Troy is there. You can see it. But they didn't give him the money to get a good defensive coordinator to replace Koenig, and up until this past year, a good offensive coordinator. So West Virginia has got to start learning to spend money on football. Have to. I saw a question in the comments. D-Rock Iris says, who are the haves? That's the question that needs to be answered. Great question. Who are the haves? Where is this money that should be spent on football? Where is it going? What is it for? Is it just padding some pockets of people that want it? Where is it going? West Virginia could afford to pay a head coach $7 million a year, maybe $8 million. That might be pushing it. $7 million, definitely, and be competitive with other programs at the same level. What? How does Kentucky? How can they afford to pay their coach more than West Virginia can? How can Cincinnati afford to pay their coach more than we can? How can freaking Liberty afford to pay their coach more than we can? The answer is we actually could afford to pay our coaches more. We just choose not to, and it's going elsewhere. Brett Yormark, the Big 12 commissioner, he toured every facility in the Big 12, and he said West Virginia's facilities, football facilities, one of the best in the Big 12. One of the best. So we have the money for the football facilities, but we don't have the money for the coaches. That doesn't add up. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So that needs to get figured out, because until West Virginia is willing to pay Power 5 money, not Group of 5 money, and if you look at salaries, the salary that West Virginia pays their coaches, Group of 5 salary. It is. It's Group of 5 salary. High-end Group of 5 salary? Yes, but still Group of 5 salary. We have to figure that out. We have to. Otherwise, we're never going to get out of this rut. Every once in a while, we might be able to have a good season. Against all odds, probably shouldn't, but we will. But sustained success? No, it's not going to happen. All right, on to tomorrow's football game. Good news is it's in Morgantown. Bad news is I'm not sure if it's a good matchup for West Virginia. First of all, I don't know if Adrian Martinez is at 100%. That might factor into this. Deuce Vaughn, how are we going to stop him? Our defensive line has got to learn how to get some pressure, and our linebackers have got to learn how to tackle. That's what scares me the most about this football game is the running game of Kansas State. They have a tremendous running game. What is in our favor is they don't score a lot of points. They have a good running game, and they like to slow the game down. But as far as scoring a lot of points, they don't do that. And if you're wondering what I'm doing, is I'm actually looking up Kansas State, their football stats. So give me 1 second here, guys. I want to look at all right, here we go. I want to look at points a game, see where they're at. So they're not a great offense, but they're good enough to put up points, just not a ton of points. They average 30.6 points per game, which is 49th. That's a decent offense. West Virginia has a better offense when it comes to scoring points per game. Kansas State, their game plan is going to be run the ball, shorten the game, play good defense, and make every possession for you have to count. So if you don't score on a particular possession, that could be the football game because they're going to try to limit how many possessions you have in the game. So they will try to slow this game down, run the ball, move the chains, and score. I'm concerned about our linebackers. We have undersized linebackers. I have not seen size this small at linebacker at West Virginia probably ever. We had some small linebacking cores under Dana Holgerson, but not this small. I mean, we have some small guys at linebacker, and that worries me. Deuce Vaughn is a bruiser. He is fast, yes, but that he can bowl you over. So yards after tackle is a massive, massive concern for me for this game tomorrow. Do I think West Virginia has a chance to win this game? Yes, I do. It is in Morgantown. Kansas State's passing defense isn't all that great. The run defense is pretty good, but their pass defense, it's okay. It's not bad, but it's not their strength. Kansas State allows, let's see here, 17.5 points per game, which is 12th. So they do have good defense, but you're going to have to establish the run, yes, and then open up the top of that defense. We don't have the wide receivers to do that. That's the problem. So this is why I'm wanting Neil Brown to start Garrett Green again, because it's going to be very, very important because if we can't establish the run, then we're not going to win this football game. Our receivers can't separate. Well, that's why I asked Emal94. I wasn't for sure if Martinez was 100% or if he was out. I didn't know the update on him. So he's out, but Howard is passing very well. I haven't done a scouting report on him. I think I've only seen like a half of his so far, and I couldn't remember what I saw. So excuse me for that. But Kansas State, they like to focus on running because of Deuce Vaughn. But it looks like Howard, their quarterback, is very competent as well. Honestly, it doesn't matter all that much because our defense is that bad. I mean, we got some good stops against Oklahoma, and we limited them to 20 points, but Oklahoma committed a lot of mistakes. They still churned over 400 yards on our defense, so they moved the ball on us. There was a very questionable call by Brent Venables in the fourth quarter. It was a 4th and 2. I think it was on like the 40-yard line, something like that. And we weren't tackling the run game very well at all. I thought it was automatic. I thought he was going to go for it. They were going to get a first down, keep running clock, and try to get a touchdown. He elects to go for a 47-yard field goal on 4th and 2 on a defense that hasn't been tackling in the rain. And it doinks off the upright. The risk reward didn't match up right there. The risk is, well, you doink and we get field position there, or you miss, we get field position there. The ball comes out low, we block it, maybe return it for a kick 6. That's a risk. The reward, 3 points to go up 23-20 on a 46-yard field goal. and then 4th and 2, you're not really risking anything by going for it on 4th and 2. You have to go for it on 4th and 2 against a bad West Virginia team. That was a poor coaching call by Brent Venables, and I do feel bad for Oklahoma fans because us West Virginia fans, we can relate. In the backyard brawl, we had a nice drive going, and it came down to 4th and inches. Graham Harrell had a play called for that particular scenario, and he had it ready to go. And Neil Brown overrode him and said, no, we're going to play analytics, and we're going to punt the ball. West Virginia would have gotten that first down, and we would have won the football game. Same thing with Oklahoma. I think if they went for it, that they would have got it. And I do think that Oklahoma wins the football game if they get that first down, because I think they end up scoring a touchdown. But that changed the momentum. And, of course, Garrett Green was able to first down them out, and we kicked a field goal when time expired. And it was a great feeling. Thank you, Brent Venables, for making that bad decision. But that's what most of our wins have relied on, because other than Towson, who was FCS, and Virginia Tech, who was basically FCS, Baylor, they made a bunch of mistakes. I mean, the quarterback, you call it a fumble, but really he rolled out and he just dropped it. Nobody punched it out or hit him. He dropped it, and we ran it back for a scoop and score. And then, of course, we blocked the point after and returned it for 2 points. It was a lot of mistakes that Baylor made that allowed us to win that football game. Same thing with Oklahoma. It was just a lot of mistakes that Oklahoma made that allowed us to win that football game. So these last 2 games, if we want to get bowl eligible, we're going to have to rely on the other team to make enough mistakes for us to win, because we are not good enough to beat a good team head-to-head. We're just not good enough. It's time to face facts. Great win against Oklahoma, an average Oklahoma. First time we've beaten them in the Big 12. I'm feeling pretty good about this. But tomorrow, I have a feeling that reality is going to kick right back in, and we're going to realize that West Virginia is still bad, because wins can make you forget about that, and especially a win over Oklahoma. But I'm telling you, West Virginia is still a bad football team. So I don't like predicting West Virginia to lose, but I really do think that West Virginia loses. I think Kansas State is just too good of a football team. The only thing that gives me hope is we did play TCU tough. And, of course, TCU is even better than Kansas State. They had their last drive, they had a 4th and 5 or 4th and 3, something like that. And they were only up by 3. If we could have stopped them right there, we have a chance to send it overtime or win the football game. What happens? They get us offsides, and then he throws the ball for a touchdown with 20 seconds left. So they beat us by 10. But we did compete against TCU. That gives me hope. That gives me hope. That's about it, though, because the fact remains we're a bad football team. And if this were on the road, I would say there's no hope. We're not winning this game at all. Maybe there's hope we keep it close. But it being in Morgantown, there is the hope and the possibility that we can pull the upset. I don't think it's very high. And I hate picking against West Virginia, but I have to in this particular case. Kansas State is just better all around. They have a better running back. Now, if C.J. Donaldson was back healthy 100%, then maybe I can't say that. But Deuce Vaughn is still really good. Really one of the best running backs in the Big 12. Maybe the best running back in the Big 12. And JT Daniels at the beginning of the year would have been the better quarterback, but the JT Daniels right now, no, he's making too many mistakes. The pressure of the season has gotten to him, losing, bad defense. He looks different. He looks like he's wore out. He's looked like he's given up. He looks like he's trying to force things. So even having JT Daniels, West Virginia doesn't have the edge with the quarterback. Defense, are you kidding me? Not even close. Kansas State 100% has the edge. 100%. So I'm only hoping that we can keep it close. I do think Kansas State beats West Virginia. And I think it's the running game that just wears us down. And our already bad defense is going to be gassed by the end of the game. So for a final score prediction, I'm going to see both of these offenses aren't great. So I don't see a ton of points being put up. Plus, Kansas State's defense is really, really good. So, a final score prediction would be something like 28-17 Kansas State. We're not going to put up a lot of points for them, but against them. But it being in Morgantown, maybe more than usual. If this was on the road, they'd probably beat us like 34-3 or 34-7. Seriously, that's how much better they are. This being in Morgantown, I'm going to say Kansas State wins. I'm going to say 28-17. I really hope that I'm wrong. I hope Neil Brown has this plan that we haven't seen so far, and it blows us away. I mean, remember last week, we weren't expecting him to bench JT Daniels and put in Garrett Green, and Garrett Green won the football game. What if there's another plan with Nico that we don't know, and it's a really good plan, and it's executed really well? We just don't know. All I'm saying is I'm going by what I'm hearing, and I don't think he's announced a starter yet, but from everybody that's close to the program, they're saying that he's leaning towards starting JT Daniels again. That doesn't give me a lot of hope. But last week, he got off to a bad start, got benched. So maybe that could happen as well. And that adds one extra layer. I will mention this. Who does Kansas State prepare for? That's a question I want to ask. Do you prepare for JT Daniels? Or do you prepare for Garrett Green? Can you prepare for both? What if he does what he did last week and he starts JT Daniels and JT Daniels gets off to a slow start and then he puts in Garrett Green and, that throws your game plan off. So, I know you're supposed to prepare for every possibility, but it's hard to specifically game plan for two different quarterbacks. Now, when you know somebody has a two-quarterback situation, there's certain things you can prepare for that. So, maybe they approach it as West Virginia has a two-quarterback situation and approach it that way. So if we see JT Daniels, here's what we want to do. If we see Garrett Green, this is what we want to do. How much do you focus on each one? Maybe Neil Brown throws a curveball and starts Garrett Green first and then subs in JT Daniels and you got to switch it the other way. I don't know. I don't know what Neil Brown is thinking. But Neil Brown is going to finish this season, and from what I'm hearing, he will be given one more year. If that's what I'm hearing. So the firing of Shane Lyons wasn't necessarily to get rid of Neil Brown immediately. Maybe it was to open the door for when we do finally decide to fire him, because Shane Lyons, he sounded like he was going to keep him forever. But I think it was a combination of the two. Opening up the door that when we do want to fire Neil Brown, we can. Shane Lyons doesn't stand in the way. And on the other thing was the complaints that I was hearing that he was penny pinching. He was in too tight with the NCAA. He was using football money for other stuff, specifically the budget for the coaching staff. He wanted to rebuild the press box or a new press box, have his name put on it. Just a bunch of things that I'm hearing as to why Shane Lyons was actually fired. So the actual reason, it'll come out eventually, but right now it's going to be a bunch of hearsay, speculation, things going around. Who knows the real reason? Maybe Neil Brown is fired at the end of the year. But from what I'm hearing, he's going to coach through the rest of this year, and he's going to have 2023. Maybe not guaranteed, like, okay, you have the entire year. Maybe start 2023, and if it gets off to a bad start, it's like, see ya. We gave you, the start of this year, and you can't get it done. Because, man, the tough thing is Neil Brown does recruit at a high level at West Virginia. He does. And we've already lost Mumu Bin Wanhad, who's a really good recruit. I don't know where he's going to as of right now, but that's going to hurt. So if you get rid of Neil Brown, you are going to lose recruits. That's going to happen. You can't get around that. I'm sorry. That's not going to happen. So you can't let fear stand in the way of letting you make a good decision. I made this example the other day. I should have started this channel long before I did, but I let fear get in my way. In fact, it literally took my brother, my youngest brother, Ben, to literally say, you're doing this tonight. It is happening tonight. It wasn't, the conversation didn't go, hey, have you still thought about it? You need to do it soon. Get on it, buddy. No, he was like, you're doing it tonight. I don't care if you're scared. I don't care if it's a train wreck. You're doing it tonight. And it's done well. You guys have blown me away. Golden Blooded is growing way, way faster than I ever thought it would. Seriously. So I appreciate everybody that supported the channel. Point of that story is, can't let fear get in the way of making a good decision. And if the right decision is to fire Neil Brown, you can't let the fear of, we might lose recruits if we fire him. Yeah, you are. But if he's not the right coach, then he's got to go. I just don't know all the other variables. Like if he had enough money to hire a proper, running backs coach, offensive lines coach, any position on the coaching staff. I don't know all the variables. That is the big problem. So it's guessing at this point. I just think Kansas State is a more well-rounded team than West Virginia. Their defense it's not even comparable. You can't compare the two defenses. Kansas State is a little more vulnerable in the passing game than the running game, but all facets of Kansas State's defense is better than all facets of West Virginia's defense. We don't have enough size on our defense at all to compete in Power 5. If you look at our secondary and our linebackers, it looks like a group of 5 team. We look like a group of 5 team in terms of size. I don't know what happened. I know he went out and wanted to get speed and got Jasir Cox and Marcus Floyd. Marcus Floyd from FCS. Jasir Cox also from FCS. So scratch the group of 5 size. We have FCS size out there. Yes, they were great in the FCS, but they don't have the size to compete in the Big 12 and the Power 5, and it is showing this year. So I'm hoping he learned his lesson on that one because that hurt us bad. I have never seen our defense this bad. Never. Never, ever, ever. It's bad. It's bad. Can we recover? I don't know. Do we have to do a full reset? I don't know. What the future holds? I don't know. Very uncertain times here at West Virginia, and people got to realize West Virginia is the only show in town. The only one. We have no professional team, nothing like that. There's Marshall and Huntington, but they basically carry 1 or 2 counties. That's it. The rest of the state is carried by West Virginia University. So when we're going through times like this, the entire state is just down right now. The entire fan base is down right now. And it's just tough. And for West Virginia, it's especially hard to rebuild because we don't have that Alabama brand. We don't have that Texas brand. We don't have that USC brand. And the list goes on. We're West Virginia. We got to get what we can. We got to take what we can get. That's where we're at. So when we're down, it's extra hard to climb out. So I don't know where we go from here. But tomorrow, Kansas State, I will be live streaming that game, of course. I hope I'm wrong about this, and I was hopeful before I actually looked at the matchups. I said, hey, we beat Oklahoma. Maybe we can put up back-to-back, good games and pull off another upset. But after looking at the matchups, Kansas State is better than people realize. Maybe I underranked them. I had them at number 21. I guess I was looking at their schedule too much and not the eye test so much. Number 15 is probably right. Number 15 is probably right as far as where they need to be. And West Virginia is just not anywhere close to their level. And I don't know about the fan support in Morgantown this week. Last week, it was better than what I thought. Maybe after a win, that'll bring out even more fans. I don't know what the reaction is going to be. So hopefully we can get at least 45,000 in there. 50,000 would be nice. We need as many fans as possible. I just don't know. But I do think Kansas State wins this football game. And I think Neil Brown still finishes the season out, guys. He is not going to be fired after tomorrow. That's not going to happen. If he's fired this year, it'll be after the regular season because the buyout goes down by a lot. What I'm hearing is he'll finish this season and they're going to give him one more year. That's what I'm hearing, folks. Do I like it? No. Am I for it? No, I'm not. I just feel like we're going to get more of the same. More of the same. Yep, we did. We did beat Baylor, and we did beat Oklahoma in Morgantown. Oklahoma, an average team. Baylor, slightly above average team. Kansas State is much better than both of those two teams. The team that's comparable to Kansas State is TCU. And when TCU came into Morgantown, yes, we were competitive. Yes, we had a chance to win that football game there at the end, but we just made too many mistakes. We jumped off sides on that 4th and short, and then he extra points, garbage points basically, and they win by 10. So yes, it's definitely possible. It's definitely possible. I just don't think it's likely. I really don't. And and I see your defense homework. With the type of defense that Kansas State runs, even if JT does get off to a slow start and they put in Garrett Green, Kansas State has the type of defense that can cover that up because they have somebody that's spying in on the quarterback. So even that plan might not work against Kansas State. Oklahoma didn't run that type of scheme. So even what we had going for us against Oklahoma with Garrett Green, I don't think we're going to have that for Kansas State. I know I'm being a Debbie Downer. I'm just calling it the way I see it, guys. I don't like this matchup. The only hope that I see is it being in Morgantown, and we've played our best football in Morgantown. We have played our best football in Morgantown. Even in losses, we've played our best football. So that's the hope. And if we do win tomorrow, then Oklahoma State on the road isn't that tough. Oklahoma State has shown great vulnerability. I mean, a lot. I think Oklahoma State is beatable even by our standards. We'd have to play our A-plus game and hope that they make some mistakes. Yes, but I just think TCU and Kansas State are a substantial level above Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State could still end up playing in the Big 12 championship. But at team versus team, I think Kansas State and TCU are better football teams than Oklahoma State. And so if we can win tomorrow, Kansas State is the better football team than Oklahoma State. If we can win tomorrow, we have a puncher's chance of finishing the season 6-6 and getting to a bowl. I don't know. Pepsi break. Guys, if you're not subscribed to the Voice of College Football over on the West Virginia channel, go hit the subscribe button. Even if you don't like West Virginia, even if you don't watch any of the videos, this is all about helping Mark get all of his channels up to 1,000 subscribers. That way, YouTube starts taking it serious and starts promoting it more. So just jump over there, hit the subscribe. You can jump off and never go over there again, and it's fine. And even when we get to 1,000, you can unsubscribe. It's all about getting us there. So I encourage you to do that. But right now, it just seems like Neil Brown has brought like a cloud of depression or something over Morgantown. Something's not right. And I'm trying to figure out what it is. Is it Neil Brown? Is it some of the assistants? Was it Shane Lyons? The money situation. What exactly happened in Morgantown that created this situation? Because this isn't like year 1, year 2 under Rich Rod, where he was still getting his players, still trying to figure out, the best situation as far as switching from one coaching staff to the other. This is year 4. We should not be in this situation in year 4 under a head coach. And I know in year 3, Dana Holgorsen had a bad year, but in year 4, he went 8-5. This is not where West Virginia should be. This is not where West Virginia should be as far as 4th year under Neil Brown. I thought it was a good hire. I had high expectations, but he's turned out to be a bust. So I jumped off the bandwagon. Halftime Texas. That is when I jumped off the bandwagon. Halftime at Texas, down 28-7. I knew we weren't coming back, and it looked like the offense quit. The defense already sucked. And on top of that, our offense quits. That was it. I was done. And I'm not jumping back on unless a massive, massive turnaround happens at West Virginia, because it's one thing to lose, but it's another thing to lose and just look like there's no hope. That's where West Virginia is right now. Not only are we losing, but the way we're losing is like, yuck. That's football? What am I watching? We can't tackle. This is stuff that you learn in Pee Wee football. You can't arm tackle, and that's always like, I'm going to look up the stats for this. I'm going to look it up. What's West Virginia's defense look like yards after contact? I bet we're one of the worst defenses whenever it comes to yards after contact, because our players can't freaking tackle. And I know a part of that is the size of the safeties and linebackers, but technique can make up for some of that. You can't blame all that mess that we see on defense strictly on size. You can't. There's some flawed techniques in there. And it doesn't make sense. Every time I see, this is where we're at, guys. Every time I see a quarterback drop back and make a completion, I add 5 yards to wherever the completion is made, because that's what I'm anticipating. All right, let's see. That completion was for 5 yards. That's going to be a 10-yard gain automatically, maybe even more. Running game, same thing. We're good at getting pressure. Here's the crazy thing. We're actually really good at getting pressure with our defensive line, but we can never get the sack. We can never get the tackle for a loss. And then when we do miss, they take it to the next level, and our next level can't tackle. It is all on our defensive line to tackle, and they do get pressure, but 9 times out of 10, they don't get the tackle, and the running back breaks those tackles and gets to the second level, and it's off to the races. I can't understand it. It is ridiculous, and I can't stand it. So our secondary and our linebackers have got to learn how to tackle, because it's becoming unwatchable. It's becoming unwatchable. Hopefully I'm wrong, guys. Hopefully I'm way, way off. But from the matchups that I'm seeing, Kansas State's the better team. And I just don't see any matchups that we can take advantage of, even if we put in Garrett Green, because Kansas State runs a spy on their version of the stack defense. And so if you put Garrett Green in there, then that's not going to help much at all, because they're going to have somebody on him as well. Maybe I'm wrong about that as well. I don't know. We'll all watch the game tomorrow together, because I'll be doing a live show on Golden Bluetooth. By the way, if you're watching me on Voice of College Football or Voice of College Football West Virginia, go check me out on Golden Bluetooth. Videos every day, just like here, and I'll be live streaming the Kansas State at West Virginia game. So we'll see what kind of train wreck tomorrow is. Let's be honest, even in a win, it's still a train wreck. When you're watching a West Virginia football game, it's always a train wreck. Even in a win, it's always a train wreck. So tomorrow, I guarantee it's going to be a train wreck. I'm just hoping somehow Kansas State makes enough mistakes to where we can win, because that's it. That's it, guys. That's all I got. I wish, and I hate having this attitude, guys. I do. I hate it. But this is the reason why I'm saying JT Daniels is not doing well right now, because he probably feels the way I do right now. It's a hopeless feeling, even after a win. It's a hopeless feeling, especially whenever you come up against a team like Kansas State. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. I hope I'm wrong about the game tomorrow. But I have this bad feeling about the game tomorrow. And it's not going to be the last game of Neil Brown, guys. I'm with you. I wish it was, but it's not. And I don't think this season is going to be the last season as well. I think he's got one more season. From what I'm hearing, it's going to be one more season. So this is going to be a win for Kansas State. It will. So Emaw will march on. And Kansas State, if they do win tomorrow, Kansas State's going to have a chance to get to the Big 12 championship, because they're still in the running. In fact, if they win tomorrow, I'm not sure if they're a lock, but they're in a really good position if they win. Let me look at the Big 12 standings real quick. I know Kansas State is in a good position. I'm trying to figure out if they're a lock if they win tomorrow. I don't think they're a lock, but they're pretty close. We know TCU is a lock. Hold on, guys. So we know TCU is a lock. Let me look at standings here. And so for the Big 12, Kansas State is in second place. It depends. All right. Hold on. I'm checking head to head real quick. Let's see. So did y'all beat Oklahoma State? I didn't tap Cincinnati. Why does it? Yes. Oh, there we go. Yes, y'all did beat Oklahoma State, so y'all would be in over them. And let's check Baylor. Did y'all beat Baylor? Yep, y'all beat Baylor, so y'all would be in over them. And then finally, Texas, because they're also 4-3. Did y'all beat Texas? No. So it's going to be if y'all win tomorrow, it'll be down to you and Texas. Now, if Texas loses tomorrow, here's the deal, guys. If Kansas State wins tomorrow and Texas loses, game over. It's going to be TCU and Kansas State in the Big 12 championship. And if they both win, it's going to go to one more game. And if they both lose, it depends on what happens in that last game. Kansas State can end this tomorrow if Texas loses. Who does Texas play tomorrow? And they're on the road to Kansas. That's a losable game. Kansas is back to full strength. And, Texas still might be thinking about losing to TCU at home. So but Oklahoma State lost. The reason I said what I said as far as Oklahoma State is Oklahoma State lost to Kansas State. Oklahoma State has 3 losses in the Big 12, okay? So if Kansas State wins tomorrow, Oklahoma State is knocked out of the Big 12 championship contention. Because if Kansas State wins tomorrow, they still only have 2 losses. And then they lose their last week with 3 losses, they have the tiebreaker. So if Kansas State ends the season with 3 losses in the Big 12, they have the tiebreaker over Oklahoma State and Baylor. They don't have the tiebreaker over Texas. So if they lose and if they win and Texas lose, then they're in. Yeah. But if Texas wins and they lose, then it'll go to one more game. Then the last game can decide. But if Texas loses and they can win tomorrow, then it's game over. Because they need Texas to lose. They don't need Texas to lose one more game unless they lose a game. They're 1 game ahead of Texas. But if they lose a game, then they need Texas to lose because Texas has the head-to-head tiebreaker. That's the best way I can explain it. Hopefully that made some type of sense. But bottom line is, if Kansas State wins tomorrow, Oklahoma State and Baylor, you're not making the Big 12 championship. Then it's down to what Texas does. It'll be between Kansas State and Texas. That's what it comes down to. So that'll be one step towards getting to the Big 12 championship. Of course, Travis was going to jump on the show, but he had something come up with his daughter, so it was just me tonight. But Kansas State can take a major step towards getting to the Big 12 championship tomorrow. I think they do that. And then, of course, if Texas loses, then it's game over. It's done. Yeah, because if Kansas State ends up with 3 losses, then it's a tiebreaker. I'm not going through that again. My brain's already hurting. Basically, if Kansas State wins and Texas loses, then that's it. It's going to be TCU versus Kansas State. And the first matchup between those teams it was pretty good. I thought Kansas State was going to win that game, but it was one of those games where TCU got down big and then they came back. Same situation with, who was it? Oklahoma State. So I'd like to see that rematch. I think it would be very, very fun to watch. Tomorrow, I'm predicting Kansas State to win. I don't know about Texas. They very well could lose to Kansas, and the Big 12 championship is TCU and Kansas State. I'm going to go, you know what? I've talked myself into it. Y'all witnessed it. I literally talked myself into it. Kansas State beats West Virginia, and Texas beats Kansas. So the Big 12 championship will be TCU versus Kansas State. How about that, people? How do you like that? Well, as a West Virginia fan, you don't like it at all. But that's my prediction. I'm sorry. I try to stick with the truth. Is there a chance that West Virginia could win? Yes. But our defense has got to play at a much higher level. We have to learn to tackle because Deuce Vaughn is already hard to tackle. And you combine that with bad tackling, that's a bad recipe. I think Deuce Vaughn can easily go off for at least 150 yards on West Virginia's defense. And that would be a bad day for West Virginia. And that's what I think it's going to be. Hopefully I'm wrong. I'll be doing my live show tomorrow. I think the game starts at 2, which is a weird time. Still, I'll be live for it. So come join me on Golden Blued. And even if we win, you'll see some crazy reactions. I can't help it. I get emotional. I get crazy. I've always been that way, and I will always be that way. So come watch the train wreck, guys. If you want to be entertained, come watch the train wreck. I got to head off to bed. I know I didn't make it an hour. I was trying to make it an hour, guys, but I have been driving all day. I am wore out. I am very worn out. I drove a total of like 8-9 hours today. So we almost made it to an hour. I'm going to get plenty of rest, and we'll have a good live show for you tomorrow, okay? Good live show. So whether you were watching me on Golden Blued or Voice of College Football or Voice of College Football West Virginia, I hope you all have a good Friday night. We have 2 weeks of the regular season left. Soak it all in. Soak it all in because the regular season is about to be over. We still have championships, conference championships, bowls, playoffs, national championship. That's it. Regular season coming to a close, and I'm sad. I'm not going to lie about it. This is my favorite time of the year. I'm sad. So I will definitely be watching as many games as possible. In fact, tomorrow I'm actually going to a tailgate because some of my fellow YouTubers are going to be up here in Clemson. I got a call today from Traveling Fools, Pigskin Pete, Slim Shady Canes, Huffer Billy Paul. They're actually all coming up here because some of them are Miami fans, some of them are Clemson fans, so they'll be tailgating tomorrow. So I'm going to head over there and tailgate with them as well. So tomorrow's going to be a good day of college football, and I'm going to have as much fun as possible because there's not very many of these Saturdays left. There's just not. Enjoy your Friday night. I'm sure there's some action on or something. I'll see what I can find. But tomorrow is going to be one last Saturday, so soak it all in, guys. It's coming to a close. Enjoy the rest of your Friday night, guys. Don't do anything that I wouldn't do.